Mr. President, your Director of National Counterterrorism, Joe Kent, he just resigned today. He said he can't support your conflict with Iran. What's your reaction to that? And did you talk
Well, I read his statement. I always thought he was a nice guy, but I always thought he was weak on security, very weak on security. I didn't know him well, but I thought he seemed like a pretty nice guy. But when I read his statement, I realized that it's a good thing that he's out, because he said that Iran was not a threat. Iran was a threat. Every country realized what a threat Iran was. The question is whether or not they wanted to do something about it.
I cannot in good conscience support the ongoing war in Iran. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation. How did you reach that conclusion?
I think this is key. I mean, this would be more challenging to explain had the Secretary of State, the President, and the Speaker of the House not come out and said that we conducted this attack at this time because the Israelis were about to do so.
The president spoke on this a little bit yesterday in the Oval Office. He said he always thought Joe Kent was a good guy, obviously has a commendable military record and experience. However, he was not someone who was involved in the presidential daily brief, part of the president's intelligence briefings over the last several months. Have not seen him here at the White House for quite some time, and the president feels it's deeply disappointing that after the president gave him an opportunity in this administration to serve the American people, that he would resign with a letter filled with falsehoods, accusing the president of the United States by being controlled by a foreign country. That's both insulting and laughable all at the same time.
The Israelis drove the decision to take this action, which we knew would set off a series of events, meaning the Iranians would retaliate.
To my friend Joe Kent, who's a decorated war veteran who lost his wife in Syria, what are you doing? You're giving aid and comfort to a lie. There was an imminent threat. How much more imminent could you be within 2 weeks having enough material to make 10 bombs? How close could you come? Not much.
What's up, everybody? Major retired Richard Ojeda here, and a longtime Trump apologist, Joe Kent, just sent shockwaves through the MAGA universe by becoming the highest level official to say no to Donald Trump's illegal and unjustifiable war in Iran, and then he quit. It's because everything that Donald Trump campaigned on turned out to be a huge lie.
If any official in the administration disagrees with the national security policies of the president, he or she should resign. And Mr. Kent apparently vigorously disagreed with the president's decision. I think President Trump was exactly right to act to protect America and protect America from the threats posed by Iran.
Mr. President, finish the job. We're very, very close. And if we do this right, peace breaks out. Saudi Arabia will recognize Israel when Iran is defanged. Our goal is to take this terrorist regime and defang it so we can have real peace in the Mideast. We're so close to that moment. President Trump, God bless you and your team for not letting them get 10 nuclear bombs.
And that's why Joe Kent, the former Green Beret and now former Director of National Counterterrorism, who was appointed by Trump back in 2025, just turned in his resignation letter. His departure creates a vacuum in the agency and a problem that has Republicans scrambling. And what have Republicans done under this administration and in the past when they don't want to talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room? They send in their most loyal chicken hawks to attack the character of whoever is speaking out and move the goalposts of the argument.
Donald Trump acted decisively. God bless the fact that he did. If he had failed to act, we'd all be living with a Ayatollah still alive, enough weapon-grade material to make 10 bombs. That's what's at stake here. The liberals literally do want Trump to fail. They fear him more than they fear the Ayatollah with a nuclear weapon. This is a sick time in which we live.
We've seen this do as I say, not as I do way of doing things for way too long, and we're sick and tired of it. Trump says one thing on the campaign trail, but does the opposite when given the opportunity. Tell the American people no more wars, then turn around and drag us into World War III without a single debate. The entire world is sick and tired of Donald Trump. It's not just Joe Kent, but when a guy like Kent, who's been in Trump's corner, someone who's had access to the intelligence and worked closely with Tulsi Gabbard, called bullshit. It's not only puts pressure on Trump about the fact that there were no imminent threat, it also puts a heaping helping of attention on Gabbard. Because now the question becomes, if Kent is wrong, why was he put in that position in the first place? And if he's right, then who exactly is Tulsi defending? Kent didn't just show up from nowhere. He has been inside the system. He was part of the same intelligence structure that she's under. That's why Tulsi put out her statement defending Trump's actions. She is being forced to either defend a narrative that someone in her chain just alleged, or she has to admit that something just doesn't add up. Because this is the same Tulsi Gabbard that built her reputation speaking out against regime change wars. She talked about ending these types of conflicts and bringing those resources back home, taking care of veterans and protecting the very people who got sent into these horrible situations. She used to stand up in Congress for young female soldiers who were victims of sexual abuse in the military. Now she's throwing her support behind a draft-dodging child predator who's dragging the world closer to the brink of nuclear annihilation and who is an livable embodiment of the 7 deadly sins. And it seems that this entire administration is geared towards defending Donald Trump, even when it means turning their backs on the soldiers that they are sending into harm's way and aligning our country with dictators. We are not the good guys in this fight, and everyone knows it. No one is sending ships to the Strait of Hormuz to help Donald Trump. No one is coming to wipe his ass, and he's furious about it. He's gotten us into a regional conflict that could expand quickly. He's put us into a situation where we're going to have to pay the price in our daily lives and well into the future, because this, like the Epstein files, is not going away. It's no surprise that Ted Cruz is trying to justify this escalation of force by framing Iran as a long-term ongoing threat to the United States. Cruz leans hard into the idea that Iran has been hostile to the U.S. for 47 years, bringing up situations where Americans were killed by Iranian-backed groups. It's the same tactic he used at home to justify ICE killing Americans or to scapegoat immigrants. The goal of it all is to make the war feel like a continuation, not a choice. When asked if the U.S. can kill its way to regime change, he spins a bit but still says the objective should be to collapse the regime.
Did you know that the big wireless carriers like Verizon and AT&T made over $18 billion in profit last year? How? By overcharging you for unlimited data, most of which you probably aren't even using. But what if you could get paid to use your phone less and only pay for the data you do use? Well, with Noble Mobile, you can. For just $50 a month on their No Bull plan, you get unlimited data, and whatever data you don't use, you get cash back right in your pocket. People who switch to Noble can save an average of $500 to $1,000 a year. It's a no-brainer. And by switching to Noble, you're directly supporting TYT and our mission of bringing you honest, independent news. So give Noble a try and make the switch today. Scan the QR code on the screen now or visit go.tyt.com/plan. That's go.tyt.com/plan.
It's semantics. Instead of engaging the actual question, can this work? What's the plan and cost? He goes back to, they're dangerous. They'll kill us. We'll have to stop them. It's emotional gaslighting, not strategic explanation. And Cruz isn't the only one out here licking Donald Trump's boots. Lindsey Graham is right there beside him, beating the drums of war like it's his full-time job. This is a guy who spent years pushing conflict after conflict, and now he's back on TV comparing Iran to Nazi Germany. Same tired fear playbook, different day. Scare people, shut down questions, and sell another war nobody voted for. Graham went low. He brought up Kent's late wife, a service member killed in Syria, to try to shame him into silence. Because when the facts aren't on their side, they don't argue, they deflect, manipulate, protect the narrative. Yeah. And that's exactly what this is. Not national security, not protecting Americans, just another excuse to drag this country deeper into a war we never agreed to, while Lindsey Graham stands there selling it like a late-night infomercial. They are absolutely melting down over this because they don't know what to do. Everybody's watching right now, trying to figure out what Republicans are going to do next. And we've already seen their knee-jerk reaction. Dismiss the facts, move the goalposts, attack the character of the person speaking out. That's the playbook. But this time, it's not actually working. This time, it's bigger than that. This is a myth that started to get out of control. This is bigger than Donald Trump expected. He bit off more than he could chew. And now the cracks are starting to show. So now the question becomes, what happens next? Does this turn into a real divide inside the Republican Party? Is this the crack in the armor that finally brings down this wobbly house of cards? Or does the conspiracy glue, the fear, the deflection, the nonsense that guys like Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz keep pushing, hold it all together just a little bit longer? That's what we're all about to find out. Because one way or another, while they fight it out and try to cover their tracks, the American people are the ones who always end up paying the price. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.